Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cloud Chats. This is episode 6, Ghosts, Horrors, and a Game Show, airing on March 18th, 2021. I am your ever here host, Mason, and we have a new face today. So, Bobby, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Bobby Iliev. I've been working as a Linux system administrator for 8 years now. I recently transitioned into the DevOps space, and I've been also doing some community management. And during my free time, I work on a website called devdojo.com. I'm helping the creator, and I'm creating some cool content, and I'm contributing some code there.
Awesome. And as always, we have the ever wonderful Matt.
Hello, I'm here again.
I think you're here forever now.
I feel that's kind of become the case, really. Yeah.
I think we kind of tricked you into staying. It's like we had candy, and Matt's easily bribed with candy. So good morning to everyone. How's everyone doing? Hope to see some people in the chat here. We've got, oh my goodness, I'm not going to try that name, but good morning, Hart. Thank you so much. I feel like there's no way on earth I'll say that name right and I'll mess it up. So I'm just not even gonna try. But hello, it's great to see y'all. How's everyone doing this morning?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
tired.
So let's. Yeah, you're tired, Matt?
I've been awake far too many hours already. So you don't know the struggle being in the US.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's early for me. Yeah. I imagine that a lot of our viewers are from around the world. So it's good morning for me. Hello, good afternoon for everyone else. Good evening. Yes. I just got done. Like, it's 10 a.m. here Central Time in Austin, Texas. And I've already been up for a whole hour teaching a class. So that was really fun.
It's 5 p.m. here in Bulgaria.
Oh, is that? I've actually never known where you are from, Bobby. So you're in Bulgaria?
Yep, exactly.
Awesome. Cool. So let's go ahead and start with our cold open this morning. And everyone in the chat, please feel free to respond. It's going to be a pretty interesting cold open today. So let's talk about remote work and what are the parts of remote work that are hardest for you and the parts that are easiest. Like how's everyone doing with this working from home remotely kind of thing?
It's interesting. I think that's one way to put it.
It is definitely interesting. I feel like DigitalOcean was uniquely prepared because we were already a remote-first company. I mean, if I remember correctly, more than 70% of our workforce was already remote before the pandemic even started. So for us, it was very much business as usual. I had just started being remote in October. So like I started in October of 2019. Mm-hmm. And like I was still adjusting. I will say like those first couple of months of remote work for me were a little bit tough. Like I was not used to it. But once I've adjusted to it, I love it. And I don't think I ever want to go back to an office ever again.
Why would you?
Yeah, absolutely the same thing for me.
Yeah. I know there's some people that would definitely say like, they like the camaraderie, they like the fun, which I understand. Like if your company wasn't built for remote work, like if you don't have a remote culture and then you're suddenly forced into a remote culture, it's very difficult. Like, I mean, we have a lot of safeguards for like making sure that people feel like they're welcome, making sure that people feel taken care of. Like we have all these different happy hours. We have all these different like Slack channels for groups where people can discuss things that they like. Too many Slack channels. I am in more Slack channels at DigitalOcean than I have ever been in my life. But I feel like, when done properly, remote culture is very successful. But I think that's the key is like when done properly.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think one of the big things that comes up, I know even like with us, it comes up sometimes, is just meetings. You seem to end up with far too many meetings. There's no escape.
That has been happening a lot. Yeah.
For me, it's been totally a game changer because I have a bad shoulder. So going to the office takes me like 40 minutes. And this means 40 minutes of carrying my laptop. And I cannot wear a backpack. So it's been great not to have to carry my laptop all the time. And saving that commute time is also really great. But I also work with a lot of junior engineers, and I can see that sometimes they struggle. It's much more easier if you're in an office and then just pop up to someone's desk and ask them a question. But I think it's working out quite well, having in mind the whole situation.
Definitely. I would definitely say that with like junior engineers. I've never actually onboarded a remote junior, like someone who would be their first job. I imagine like I would still want to be in office for that personally. My little brother works at AWS, and he started in AWS in September in Seattle. Like he moved up to Seattle, got an apartment like right next door to Amazon's headquarters, was going to walk to work every day, and then shutdown happened, and he's never met his team. And this is his first job out of college. And I could definitely understand how, and I'm not like, he's doing well. He's doing very well, but I also know that like, he's probably struggling because you're right. He can't just pop by someone's desk. And sometimes people, especially engineers, are not very responsive on Slack.
I mean, like,
but yeah.
So, for context, like Dio was my first job. And obviously I've been remote the whole time, being in the UK, and Dio having our offices in the US and Canada. Yeah, like even after 2 years, sometimes I'm like, I don't know this person. I wish I could meet them in the office and actually get to know them. After 2 years of chatting on Slack, it's just, yeah, it's not the same.
Definitely. But I mean, that's why we have our company all hands. Like, you know, I know we haven't had one in a while because of COVID, but like we had my first month of DigitalOcean was the wildest ride I think I've ever been on. It was, you know, fly to New York for the first week, and day one run the Hacktoberfest event with my manager Eddie, which was super fun. But it's like I'm a brand new to advocacy, and like, okay, we're gonna run a very large event. Like, here's the pool, there's the deep end, get going. And then like I had a week off because like I had to join really quickly, but I wanted a little bit of time off between jobs. So then I had a week off, and then we were in Disney World for our company all hands, which is where I actually got to meet Matt, which was so cool. Like I actually can say I've met Matt, and that's a very
rare statement.
special.
Yeah.
It's a rare statement. So there's a lot of people in our org and in our company that cannot say that. But I sat next to you at dinner as they kept bringing us more and more fried green beans.
Oh, that was wild.
That was hilarious. Denislav in the chat says it's 60-40 for me. 60 feeling great at home, 40 not really productive sometimes. It is very tough. I definitely feel like the productivity thing, and I know a lot of people, when you're forced into remote work, people didn't have an option. I was fortunate enough that I had a spare room in my apartment. Actually, right around December, one of my roommates chose to move out, and in like I was like, oh, I'll just take that as an office. If like having a spare office is actually really valuable. Like, this is my office. This is the only purpose this room serves is for my computer and all of my stuff. And I know a lot of people don't have that, but I feel like going forward, like whenever I buy a house, I'm going to make sure that I buy one with one extra bedroom because I'm going to have a home office and I'm just going to work from there now. So I feel like, yeah, all my cool stuff is here, and sometimes it's not productive, but I do love that I can walk downstairs and start on dinner. For like, I can take a 15-minute break, walk downstairs, start dinner, maybe throw it in a crock pot or something, and then come back upstairs. And then like when I get off work, dinner's done. So.
Yeah. And I also get to spend more time with my cat. So that's pretty cool as well.
That's nice. Yeah. And like to your point, Mason, like for me, it's very much just, I have everything here. I have like, I don't know, it's weird, but I have like 6 screens in front of me. That's how I work, and I'm really productive with it. But in the office, that just wouldn't be viable.
Yeah, it is. It is really, it's different, and I like it, and I do think it's here to stay. I think that they'll offer the option for people to go back, but companies that support a remote culture are going to get the best recruits because they, like, when you can hire anywhere and you don't, like, relocation stops a lot of people from applying to jobs. I have turned down jobs before because they wanted me to relocate outside of an area that I'm comfortable with. Like, I like being close to my family. I like being in the area that I grew up in. And if you're an engineer that's bought a house, you can't just up and leave every 3 years and buy a new house. You know, it makes it really difficult. So I definitely think that remote going forward it's going to be here to stay. And I feel like you're either going to offer it or you're going to be less competitive than your competitors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Didn't mean to say that again. We're working on these transitions. We're working. I have audio clips for transitions.
We
for
just
next
need
week.
a soundbite of you saying "awesome."
Well, shush, Matt. It can be. You're right. I have I'm working on it. Like, I was this close, but I've been really busy this week. So anyway, we've gotten a lot of great chats here. Joaquin says that we were 100% in the office, but it's 80-20 and it's very different. Still getting used to it. Can't say it's business as usual. A lot of companies are definitely having problems with it. They definitely can't say it's business as usual, because it's not. But eventually, like, if the company doesn't attempt to make an effort to become remote first, then it's always going to feel this bad. But if proper things are put in place to like help promote remote work, then it'll definitely get better. Yes. Awesome. Thanks everyone for chatting. Keep sending in the chats. I think we're going to go ahead and move on now. We spent a good time on this cold open. I like this. This is a fun cold open. I could talk about how much I love remote work for hours because I was not about it for the first 3 months of my life. And now on my LinkedIn, it says, if you expect me to relocate or go into an office, don't contact me. It's like, I don't want your job. I don't want your LinkedIn. Don't get me wrong. Nobody reads it. Nobody actually reads it. Like their auto spam on LinkedIn still spams me with job offers all the time. But I want it to be very clear that if we start a conversation and you're like, well, what do you mean? I was like, it's on the profile. It said it right there. I'm not moving. Like, I don't need to be in an office with someone breathing down my neck to get my work done. I'm very productive on my own. Mm-hmm. But anywho, so we're going to pretend we had an audio clip here for the news flash, which I will have for next week. But we're going to go ahead and talk about, we're moving to our segment called News Flash, where we're just going to really quickly run over some of the latest news segments. I'm actually going to try to share my screen because Chris usually does this, but unfortunately he had to leave. He had something come up that was unavoidable that he needed to not be here today, which is why we got Bobby. And I'm super happy we have Bobby because I have actually never met Bobby before and I'm having a great time. So
same here.
Different faces is great.
It is. And we're definitely going to have some more. A lot of people have been reaching out lately about wanting to join the show, and I'm super excited. So let's go ahead and share screen. We're going to start with not that one. JetBrains IDE. Apparently we have JetBrains Projector. We can access your IDE remotely with Projector. Today we're announcing the initial release of Projector, a tool and framework for running JetBrains IDEs and Swing apps remotely over your network. So I'm assuming this is just basically browser access to an IDE.
Yeah, so you know like how VS Code can be run in the browser? This is kind of the equivalent for JetBrains. So obviously JetBrains IDEs are like full-on Java environment IDEs. So they're not going to run in a browser ever. But Projector is the best thing you can do, which is run the IDE on a server and then stream it in, like seamless real time to your browser.
That's amazing. That's definitely amazing. That's something that I've always wanted. I do think that like when it comes, like this is not only useful for people that want to just be able to like develop from anywhere, from any machine. Like now if I have a web browser, I can code, which is amazing. But this is also extremely valuable for the education community because more often than not, schools don't have the resources or the tech staff to install complicated IDEs to teach their students all the things they need to learn. Like when I was in public school system doing computer science, but also whenever I volunteer taught at a school for a year, we had like most of the machines were awful. Some were Chromebooks, which don't run anything useful other than Chrome. And like we used REPL.IT. And that was very valuable because it's an amazing product. I love it. Yeah. It's probably one of my favorite teaching tools. But being able to give anybody with a browser access to code, to a coding environment is extremely valuable. So that is definitely, awesome. I'm really glad to see that JetBrains is moving on with that.
I've been actually really happy with the VS Code. I've been running it on a droplet, and it's been performing super well. So I'm curious to see if JetBrains are also having the same smooth experience as VS Code.
Interesting. I've never I've always run it locally, and then I use the remote connections to develop on those systems. But I've never actually ran VS Code like on it and then connected. So maybe I should try that. That sounds interesting.
I'll say GitHub has a version of it called Codespaces, which does VS Code remotely in the browser with like your GitHub repository just there.
Interesting. Okay, so Ghost 4.0 is released. I actually don't know anything about Ghost, so Matt, take it away.
I also don't know much about Ghost, but I saw this as a big release, and I got like 3 emails from Product Hunt about it. They've got a dashboard now, which is really cool. I believe Ghost is a CMS essentially,
I think it definitely looks like it's a CMS.
Yeah, and they've now built out a full dashboard, so you can get like some really impressive insights into like everything that CMS has previously been able to do.
Well, I do know that we have a Ghost one-click, and it's relatively popular on DigitalOcean Marketplace. So hopefully we'll get this supported there soon.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one-click uses the installer. So I guess that, I haven't tested it, but I guess that the installer should pick up the latest stable version. So we might already have it there.
Awesome. I'm going to have to test that out later today.
Me too, actually.
It says version latest, so...
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. And now we apparently have emojis in domain names because we have to pollute every place on the planet with emojis.
Well, we've had emojis in domain names for a long time. This is just emojis in emails, which is something that seems to be new.
So how does it work? Like oh my gosh, really?
So this is the post you're showing here is actually kind of the backstory to how this developer got it all running, which is a really cool little story. Just he found a TLD that basically had sold 0 emoji domains, and so he purchased them all, and has then made it a product. And you can now go and register an email with an emoji domain. It's brilliant.
That is brilliant. I love how we're like, we'll use emoji domains. That'll be cool. And then we're also like, what's Unicode? Like, we still can't support Unicode in a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm just really excited for like, when do y'all think we're going to see emoji passwords? Or Unicode supported passwords. Imagine if you could use emojis in your passwords. I mean, it's a popular typing thing. It would drastically increase the security because you're increasing the attack space, like the vector space. Like it would be like if we could put emojis into our passwords, we'd be doing a lot. It'd be doing a lot of good.
I feel like it's not much of a lift for most sites. It's just changing a data type.
Yeah. I guess the hard part would be telling people, hey, we accept emojis in our passwords. But then every phone and every device does emojis differently. Like there is no unified standard around emojis.
Yes, there is.
Is there? Is there? Well, they always show up differently.
They publish a spec.
Wait, so why do they always show up different? That's just how people decide to implement them?
Yeah, the character codes are defined, and the character codes map to a specific emoji, and it's just each implementation has different pictures. Well,
that makes sense.
Similar pictures.
I could imagine people getting upset because their emoji password doesn't look the same on one as it does the other. Like, and then they would think it's the wrong emoji. Like, there are times that I guess you're right. There has to be a common thing, and I knew that. But like, my mom sends me emoji responses, and like, there must be a vast difference between Apple and Android because I send her a bit of sad news, and she sends back the laughing with tears emoji.
Yes.
Because I'm assuming she thinks that it's a crying emoji. But on her phone, it looks like it's crying, and on my phone, it looks like it's happy. So I'm like, oh no, Mom, this celebrity that we used to watch passed away today. And she's like laughing emojis. And I'm like, I don't think that's what you meant. Or whenever she's sad, she sends me the angry emoji. Like, I get it's like, it's weird. And I'm like, this is like, and I have to be like, oh, it's just my mom doesn't understand tech. And the emojis look different on the iPhone versus the Android. But the first time I got it, it definitely was weird.
Yes. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't think I struggle with that really, because like in Slack and in Discord, you're generally writing emojis by their text names. So you're not always looking at the picture. You're just writing the text name, and so you know what it is.
Yeah. That is, I guess that, I do end up writing a lot of text for it. So. And then I saw, I did see that Audacity 3.0 dropped yesterday. Is it just this top one?
I don't know. This is Google, so I feel like the top one's probably an ad, but no,
that's what I do too. Yeah, okay. But Audacity 3.0 was released. Oh, it looks so different now. Like,
wow, that looks like high quality software as opposed to
what it was.
Wait,
Well, I don't know. That green definitely looks like it's open source.
That looks like XP's contrast mode or something.
Yeah, I'm really curious what they've added to it now. Because I mean, I've been using Audacity since I was a little kid, so the fact that we've gotten to a version 3.0 is actually something pretty impressive.
Should I click on that blog post and just see if they've got a high level summary of what's been changed.
Label sounds and noise gates, bugs fixes, .aup3. That looks like not a lot. Whenever
there must have been some breaking change, then presumably they're following proper Semver.
Honestly, it probably was the project format. When you think about it, like it's a major update. Yeah, it's the way they change projects, so that makes sense why it's a new it's a new format.
Major,
That makes sense. That I mean, you know what? They followed proper Semver. Congratulations, Audacity. You did it right. The amount of open source projects that haven't been able to do it right honestly irritate me to no end.
Oh, don't start there.
Yeah, we can go on that forever. Okay, it's time for our lightning tutorial, and Bobby is going to be showing us some of the cool things that he's created today. So, Bobby, if you want to share your screen, go ahead. I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up once you get it shared, and we'll see all the cool things you're doing.
Cool. 1 second. It should be sharing now.
There we go.
So basically, about 3 months ago, I wrote an open source ebook on how to get started with bash scripting. The cool thing about it is that it's all written in Markdown. If we go to the content folder, you can see all of the chapters here, ending in .md, which is basically Markdown. And you can actually read it directly on GitHub. I had this in my backlog for quite a while. And yeah, I've been always wanting to kind of write an open source ebook. And the thing that pushed me to do it was actually this super cool open source tool called Ibis, not sure how to pronounce that. It was developed by one of the core Laravel developers. He actually wrote a book, and while he was writing the book, he also published the tool for free. So it's a PHP tool, and basically you just install it with a single composer command. And all that you need to do is run this command to initialize your book. It gives you all of the stylings. A pretty cool feature is that you would have a light version of the ebook and a dark version of the ebook, which is super cool for an open source tool that basically lets you write in Markdown. I can actually quickly show you the structure of the repository. So I've cloned the repository locally on my machine, and yeah, basically I have this ebook folder where I keep the book itself, and I've set it up so that if anybody feels enthusiastic enough, they could feel free to kind of clone it and translate it into different languages. So this is where I have my content, and then the exported PDF files, they live in the exports folder. So let's say, because I'm from Bulgaria, let's say I wanted to translate the book to Bulgarian, I could kind of create a folder here, and then in here, I could just run a single command, ibis init, and then in a couple of seconds, even quicker than that, you'd get all of the components needed for you to start writing your book. So you would put the Markdown files in the content folder. The asset folder contains basically the Markdown, the structure, or let's say the design of the book. So if you want to change the design, you can do that here. You can change the fonts and the cover image. And then once you're done, you can again run ibis build. And this would basically take all of the content from the content folder, compile it into a PDF, and it will give you some cool statistics on how many pages. That's actually the content of the book that the Laravel developer was writing. So he gave away the first 6 chapters for free. And if you want to build the dark version, you just add the dark keyword at the end of the build command, and this would generate a PDF that's basically a dark version. So if we check the exports folder, you can see how we got the 2 files here. So it's pretty cool, because for people who are used to writing in Markdown, you can just put everything in Git and write in Markdown, and then run a single command, and you have an actual ebook. And the ebook is actually quite nice. I mean, the design itself. So I think it's really like readable, and it's also open source, so that's also super cool.
Yeah, and wasn't this repository like in the top trending on GitHub
yeah.
like when it came out? Like,
Yep.
Humble brag.
that's
Yeah,
not a humble brag. That's something very you brag about that. Like, this was like one of the most pop. Like, how many? Look at those stars. Like, so when did you release this?
So this was about 3 months ago, and I think in the first 3 or 4 days it got to that amount. So it was trending for 3 or 4 days on GitHub. So it was one of the top repositories, as you said. Since then, it hasn't been getting a lot of stars, but yeah, it's pretty cool to see like the stars going from 0 to 1.6K
That's awesome.
in a few days. So I'm actually writing another book for Git, which should be released in a few days. I think I only have a few chapters left and I also need to do the editing and things like that. But I like open sourcing the books because, for example, I already had like a few really good contributions. Some people were fixing typos. Alex, for example, he actually submitted a whole chapter. So it's great to see the input from everybody. And also, if you make a mistake, it's great that anyone can open an issue and you can patch it.
And I'm over here playing Valheim after work, and Bobby's over here writing books. So
it's maybe one other cool thing to mention is I built this static website. It's actually deployed on the DigitalOcean app platform under the free tier because it's only static. And what I implemented is this cool interactive training based on Katacoda, where you could kind of come here and you could get a fully functional Bash terminal directly in your browser. So if we start that, you basically get a fully functional Bash terminal, and you can like test, run the commands with a click. So if you don't really have like a Bash terminal locally on your PC, or if you don't want to like write random scripts on a computer, you could just do everything directly here. And it actually has the auto completion. So that's also pretty cool.
And like I said, I'm sitting here playing Valheim, mining ore and killing goblins, and Bobby's over here changing the world for the better. This is awesome. Like, I'm totally gonna look at this because I've always like avoided Bash. I've never been a fan of it. Like I think I had a real So let me explain to you why I got upset with Bash. I had a Unix professor who had a similar methodology to mine when teaching whenever I was a student, and I feel like I don't use this methodology anymore because it doesn't work. But whenever I taught at university, I taught introductory labs for like the CS 101 course, and my philosophy was I'm going to beat you to death with this book, and hopefully some of the knowledge gets through osmosis. So I threw everything at them, and like some of them really thrived, some of them didn't. When it turns out when it's done to me, I don't like it. My professor had me implement an entire DBMS in Bash. And I got so scarred from that that I never wanted to touch Bash again. I'm terrified of Bash. And it was interesting. Now, don't get me wrong, I learned a lot, and it's really neat. But at the same time, it kind of scared me away. I was like, I don't think anyone should ever implement an entire database in Bash. But I did find out it can be done. You can do it.
Great.
Yeah,
Usually,
right?
I think if you're going to write anything longer than, let's say, 100 or 200 lines, it's probably better to choose something else. But for small scripts, Bash is great because you have Bash almost anywhere, so you don't really need to worry about it.
I've seen a couple of. I've heard people say the phrase "beautifully crafted Bash script." There's a couple of really large open source projects that are 100% Bash that work beautifully, but I would never work on them, and I would never want to test. It just scares me. But that is amazing. I'm glad now because I feel like I have a place to go learn Bash the right way. So I'm gonna go do that for sure. But that was an awesome lightning tutorial.
Also, I think also just the tech is really cool. Like historically, like my understanding of ebooks has always been kind of, if you want to start getting into formatting and stuff, LaTeX is the way to go. And I've looked at LaTeX multiple times through like personal projects and uni projects, and it just seems so scary and cumbersome. The fact you can just write Markdown and like instantly export it into a PDF document that's a lovely formatted ebook is just wonderful.
Absolutely, that was what got me to write the whole ebook actually. When I saw that too. Otherwise, yeah, the other tools were too overwhelming, and as you said, the formatting was different, and yeah, that was definitely a game changer.
Interesting. Like I've also been like kind of sort of working on a book. It wasn't going to be an ebook. It was going to be like an interactive book, and I was using like Read the Docs because Read the Docs makes nice stuff. But now that I see this, I kind of want to do an ebook. But I'm looking for, where do I go to see the things that I've starred? Oh, your stars. There's one that I've looked at that I saw that I think so. There's I want to write books. Like that's like a thing that I want to do. So like there's this VKBO. Come on, computer. There you go. Like novel writer, which is apparently implemented in. Oh no, this is actually like a. This is actually an it's Qt5, so it's actually like a Python application for writing books. The one that I was looking for, this one, Rust Lang's MD book, where you can create a markdown book using Rust. But does it? Okay, so let's see. So usage, it creates markdown, build. So it creates static pages and uploads it to your server. So this creates, I guess, online books.
Yeah, it sounds like it creates like HTML content. Yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool. Like it does a really good job of it. But the fact that that one creates PDFs, hopefully, maybe eventually they'll have it where it like produces EPUBs and Mobies.
Yes.
EPUBs, because isn't Mobi that's the proprietary Amazon format, right? One of them is.
Yeah, EPUB's the open one, I think.
Awesome.
I think there's an issue already opened on GitHub, and somebody requested that to be implemented.
Yeah. It would make sense. It'd be really valuable. Like, but I have noticed that a lot of ebook publishers are just opting with just PDF only, and they seem to be doing very well with it. So
all the major devices now support PDFs, I think. So it's a format that's existed for a long time. Why would you not use it? It's portable.
Well, yeah, if done correctly. If not done correctly, they're images and they're awful and they don't search. And like, I don't read books on my computer. Like, I really don't like to do it. I love my Kindle app. So if PDFs are supported, I'll take it. But very often than not, the PDF doesn't render properly. I've had that experience where like I've had some tech books as PDFs, and like I don't like read. Like I've gotten a little bit better about it. But like when I read a book, I want to. The Kindle's here somewhere. It's right here. I've got a Kindle. I like my Kindle.
Yeah.
So that just might be me being a little bit bougie. So
I was actually the same, but I recently started like reading books on my computer, especially if they have like dark mode. Then it's a little bit easier on the eyes, and if there's code in it, you can like read a book and write a code in the same time. But of course, for like a novel, I prefer the actual book or a reader.
Yeah, no,
definitely,
it's just really cool. I'm so glad that this tech just exists. Like it continually just blows my mind that all these open source projects exist and they work flawlessly. And yeah,
they are like being a creator. Like I would say that being a creator right now, being any sort of content creator or just any sort of artistic creator right now, we are in like one of the best times in like history for that. Am I still here?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. Well, I saw. Okay. I'm used to when other people's things drop out. It's me because my computer. Like I've gotten used to that now because I'm constantly dropping calls now, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. Okay.
No, you're good.
Okay. So moving on to our next section. Thank you for the tutorial, Bobby. That was super awesome. Hope everyone in the chat decides to check out the book. I'm definitely going to check it out later. I know it's going to be super helpful. And I'm looking forward to your Git book because I know like 3 Git commands and I pray that they work. And when they don't, I delete the repository and try again. So
that's the way to go sometimes,
That's, it always works. We're moving on to a kind of new segment that we have. I don't think we've done it on the show before, but it did take like a front seat at our deploy conference. And again, imagine amazing sound effects that are going to be here next week for this. And we're moving into deploy horror stories. This is going to be a segment where we're going to just talk about times that we've deployed code and it went horribly wrong. And we hope that if you have any, that you'll share them with us in the chat because we love hearing about all the ways that we accidentally make mistakes and take down production.
Yep.
So Matt, we're going to start with you because apparently you have a good one.
Sure. So for those that don't know, outside DigitalOcean, I also work for Cloudflare to maintain CDN.js, which is the world's largest open source content delivery network. So we serve, like assets like jQuery and Bootstrap to billions of websites, I think, at this point. I think like 13% of the internet relies on us now, which is really quite scary. And so this was back in April 2019, April 15th, in fact. It's on the status page still. My birthday. We were rolling out some new headers to the responses that we send back for these CDN assets. And as part of this, the new header went live, which was, fabulous. We've achieved the aim here. We rolled out the new header. But at the same time, we dropped all the old headers from the response, which included the cause headers. So for those who don't know what cause is, it's cross-origin resource sharing. It kind of defines how a website on one domain can load an asset on another domain. And to make that work, you have to send a specific header in the response. And we dropped that header, so it was no longer being served, which broke all the assets for every website that was using us, which, as things go for a CDN, isn't the greatest look. I think, looking at the status page here, we resolved it within 3 minutes. So it wasn't that bad, but at the scale we were operating at, it was bad.
That is, 3 minutes is an eternity in internet time.
Yeah, that was a rough day on Twitter.
Oh my goodness. So I wanted to point out the fact, you said this happened on April 15th.
Yes.
Okay. If anything's going to go wrong, that's the day that all taxes in America are due. So I kind of find it really interesting that on tax day, it's a day that most people are already very upset, especially in America, because if you haven't done your taxes yet, you have to pay them. So I feel like never bring something down on April 15th because oh my goodness, that's just perfect. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Not a finest day of CDN history there, but
Oh my goodness. Bobby, do you have any deploy horror stories?
Yeah, I have one. It's a bit long, but I'll try to keep it short. So basically, we had a customer who was constantly being DDoSed. They were on a physical dedicated server, and the server just couldn't handle the DDoS attacks. And we started building this high available solution for them, with a couple of load balancers and a few web servers, MySQL replication, and a firewall in front of the whole thing. But we made a mistake, and we basically didn't close the direct traffic to the web servers. So the guy that was DDoSing them, he somehow found the IPs of the web servers, and he started DDoSing the web servers directly. But of course, we didn't know that the DDoS was directly going towards the web servers. So the whole load balancer setup that we built for a couple of weeks was completely dead for a few days. We barely couldn't keep it up. And at the end, actually, the guy who was DDoSing, he called us, and he said how he found the IPs and that he was DDoSing the servers directly. So after that, we were able to patch it. But yeah, that was one of the worst go live of a setup that we've had.
Wild.
Oh my goodness.
It's a great reminder, though, to have firewalls in place and have them properly configured.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm trying to remember how this one went because I was there for this one, and I was partially I was on the team. It wasn't necessarily, it was my team that did this, and it was really interesting because so we had an old DNS server running in prod, but we were slowly moving everything over to different DNS servers, and this one had been on forever. We didn't think anybody was using it. We were basically cleaning out our VMware of all the old things we had running in our physical data centers as we were migrating to the cloud. Well, what we ended up doing is we decommed the DNS server. But what ended up happening is, so we decom it, and everything seems to be okay. Nothing immediately caught fire, so we kind of go to lunch. And then we're all at lunch and we get paged that that our entire prod cluster is slowly like filling up, like it's running out of resources, like things are having a hard time being scheduled. So we're like, what on earth is going back? So we go back to the office and we look, and all of like we had a service in our on our servers that like periodically they would check for updates. Like we had this own little tool that we wrote that would go out and like try to reach our Puppet server, and get pull the Puppet down. Well, it turns out that not only had the Puppet server's DNS resolution cache expired on most of our servers, the 8 servers we had in resolve.conf, that was the last one that was still on. So all of the DNS, and the thing is, like, the script didn't run all at once. What happened is the script would run, attempt to get a lock, and then do an update. So only one server could update at a time to make sure we had slow updates. But what happened is that it would do that, and then these would fail, and DNS resolution basically broke. We couldn't resolve, we couldn't update, and when DNS resolution broke, it broke something with console, so it didn't work anymore. Like basically, service discovery stopped working. So periodically, every 15 minutes, we lost a single node, and it was just slowly coming down. And like as the nodes went offline, the scheduler tried to reschedule them, and it was moving them around, but eventually all of capacity was going up. So we noticed that like the servers were doing something weird. So we had to really quickly go and return on a DNS server, and figure out where it was, because like I think the person who had turned it off. Oh no, we had told one of the ops teams to turn it off because it was actually a physical machine in a data center. Like we had told them, yeah, go ahead and decom it. It's not important. So we're like frantically on the phone with the data center trying to get them to turn the DNS back on so we can bring the clusters back up, as we're slowly watching the cluster just fill up and like start to like shudder, like as more and more weight is being put on it.
That's like the worst kind of sand timer you could have in the DevOps world.
It is like, and it's always like, because whenever these big outages happen, it's never one tool broke. It's like the fame of like Ulysses shooting the arrow through 12 axe rings. Like there was one ring and there was another ring, and when they line up perfectly and something slips through, it breaks in the most spectacular of ways.
Yeah,
that's way worse than my outage.
Oh. Well, we got it fixed, and we didn't cause anything. Like it wasn't terrible. Like it didn't get off, but like had we not figured it out and noticed it quickly, we would have been in a lot more trouble.
Yeah.
So deploy horror stories. Those are the best. So I actually do have a musical.
You have music
transition
this
for
one,
this
right?
one.
Yeah.
I have this one. So we're starting a new segment this time, and now we're getting in to our game show. So we're going to play a game called True or False, where everyone who in the chat who wants can go to kahoot.it. So I'm going to put it in the chat. Bobby and Matt also should go here, and you're going to type in this Kahoot. You're going to go to kahoot.it, and you're going to paste in this code, and what we're going to do is we're going to play a game of true or false. And what this means is that there's going to be questions that I'm going to pop up. There's 10 questions, and you're going to tell me if they're true or false. So everyone who's in chat who wants to play along with us, join. Bobby also join, and then we're going to just play, and we're going to go over the answers. It's going to be a fun new. I'm going to share my screen. Fun new experiment. So how did the audio work? Did our game show audio work for us, Matt?
Yeah, it was great. Like I felt like I was part of a game show all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it was good. Like I'm gonna get all this like a lot more clean coming up in the next couple of weeks. We're gonna give everyone a minute to go ahead and join. So if you want to join, please join the game, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. So
Cool.
These are all gonna be random tech facts about things in tech, not necessarily I'm gonna say like computer science related. They have some sort of technology aspect to them. So something's going to happen with them, but what we're going to do is we're going to do true or false, and we're going to see what's happening. So I'm going to go ahead and give it about 5 more seconds, and then I'm going to click start. We're going to start exactly at 10:45 my time. So start. We're going to go ahead and play Kahoot. And True or false for 316? Fill in your answer when you see the question on your screen. Greater than 90% of the world's currency is digital. Is this true or is this false?
Ooh.
I'm tempted to say yes.
Oh, I also have to pick. Okay, well, this isn't fair because I know the answers. So, but we'll see if I remember the answers because I might get it wrong.
So I think if you just leave it for the timer to expire.
Yeah, let's see what happens. If the timer expires, let's see what happens. It should come up with the answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so 4 people say false and 1 person says true, but the answer is in fact true. 92% of the world's currency is currently digital. This is in part due, I read the article about it. It's in part due to a lot of digital currency is in India, and India, like the Indian currency, takes up a large part of the world's global economy. So 92% of our world's currency is digital. Only 8% of it exists in paper money.
That's
Or
wild.
paper or coin money or anything. So on to the next question. Oh, Paulina got it right, or Paul got it right. We're good. Awesome. So Paul is leading. Next question, another true or false. The COBOL programming language was created in 1959 by Dorothy Vaughan. Is this true or is this false?
Unfortunately, this was before I was born, so.
Same for me, actually.
15 seconds.
Oh, no, the question here, Mason, have you used COBOL?
I actually have. I wrote an app. I have COBOL running on app platform, and I have a GitHub thing running it. I've written a Hello World in it. That's all I've used it for. But you can run COBOL on app platform. The answer is false. COBOL was in fact created in 1959. However, it was not created by Dorothy Vaughan. It was created by Rear Admiral Grace Hopper, which is one of the reasons why we have the Grace Hopper Conference, one of the leading ladies in the foundation of the tech industry. Dorothy Vaughan, however, was the computer scientist that worked at NASA and was featured heavily in the movie Hidden Figures, and was the person who made the IBM machine work at NASA to help calculate trajectories of John Glenn's space launch. So both Grace Hopper and Dorothy Vaughan are very important women tech icons for us and are some of the founding mothers of tech. But she was not the one who created COBOL.
Not going well.
Oh, but Sam's pulling in. So Sam's in the lead. So these are all going to be true or false. I don't know why it's saying it. The theoretical throughput of HDMI 2.0 is 18 gigabits per second. Is this true or is this false?
I should say, like, Kahoot, like, you earn more points by being fast as well.
Do you? Okay, cool. Well, that's a good one to know. So the answer is true. HDMI 2.0 increases the maximum TMDS per channel throughput from 3.4 gigabits per second to 6 gigabits per second, which allows for a maximum total throughput of 18 gigabits per second. This allows HDMI 2 to carry 4K resolution at 60 frames per second.
Okay, I hadn't considered 60 FPS. I was like, that can't drive many screens. But
no,
yeah,
but it can drive. Yeah, there you go. And Sam's still in the lead. We're doing good.
Well.
Yeah, you're not doing well at all, Matt. The Ruby programming language is older than the Python programming language. I am really loving this. Also, are y'all getting the audio that I'm... No, you're probably not. I've got to figure out how to pipe that through because I'm getting audio here from this, and I feel like it would be really useful to have that. So I'm going to figure that out for next time.
Or just get some more game show music.
You're right. I could. I definitely should do that and just play it on infinite loop. So this is false. Yeah. Ruby turned 28 this year, and Python turned 30. So Python was... That. Yeah. We both DigitalOcean has both recently celebrated both on Twitter. We have both said happy birthday to both. They're both in the March range.
We also talked about this on a previous Cloud Chats.
Yes, we did.
I just completely forgot about that.
Oh my goodness. Wait, are you even... Wait, so these are the top 5... You're not even showing up, Matt.
Nope. Still at 0.
Still at 0? The World Wide Web and the internet are the same thing. Is this true or is this false? 3 answers so far. 18 seconds. I'm enjoying this. I love being the quiz master. False. The World Wide Internet and the web the World Wide Web and the internet are not the same thing. The World Wide Web is specifically around websites, port HTTP and HTTPS, whereas the internet has many different protocols. And actually, the internet predated the World Wide Web for a very long time. The internet was around and was sending things much before that was going. Is Sam four in a row? Sam is just getting
I'm
it.
no longer at 0.
There you go, Matt. You're making it. Next question. True or false? Beyonce's website, Beyonce.com, was once hosted on DigitalOcean. Oh man, everyone got that one. Well, with all there seems to be a lot of DigitalOcean buffs in the chat. Yes, at the one of the original foundings of DigitalOcean, Beyonce.com was hosted, and I believe one of her albums was released and downloaded from the site. It was at the very beginning of DigitalOcean's history, and you can see it. It's like if you watch some of our old videos of like from very far back, like some of the where our founders are in it, they talk about her website being hosted on DigitalOcean.
I just guess because it's such an obscure fact.
It is a very obscure fact, yes. Nintendo is over 100 years old.
I recently listened to a podcast for the history of gaming, and I should know that, but
it is the history. If you haven't read the book Console Wars, which is the fight between Sega and Nintendo, I highly recommend it. Mm-hmm. But this is true. Nintendo started in the early 1800s not as a video game developer, but as a game developer. They developed Hanafuda cards, which were a popular trading style card game that was popular in Japan in the late 19th century, and actually probably much earlier than that. So the company Nintendo is older than 100 years old. They did not get into video games until I believe the early 1980s. So if you have not read the book Console Wars or listened to the audiobook, it's also on Audible. It's a good audiobook. There's a great history. The history of video games is a very fascinating one. Sam's still winning. I don't know how she's getting all these right. Are you I'm really curious. I might have to turn the time down so people aren't Googling this. Domain name registrations were free until 1995. This is true.
Really, that late?
Up until 1995, no one thought that had any idea that asking people to pay for a domain name would be worth anything. So it wasn't until 1995 that we started monetizing domain names. Oh, Karan is coming up on a hot streak, catching up to Sam. True or false? Toy Story 2 was accidentally completely deleted during production using the rm-rf star command. Wow, a lot of people got that one right. I guess this must be a popular story. This is in fact true. During the production of Toy Story 2, one of the lead animators accidentally deleted from both the server and the backup the entire rendered product of Toy Story 2 using the common rm-rf star command that Linux lovers know and love all throughout. The only reason the video was saved is that one of the lead animators was on maternity leave and was working from home off a backup on her laptop. The entire story was saved on her laptop, and that's how they recovered it. Had they not done that, they would have lost 3 years of animation work.
That's crazy.
Right? Toy Story history. Which, if you actually look in Toy Story 3, one of the cars that is driving has the license plate RM-RF57. I don't remember what the 57 was in relation to, but they make a joke about it in the Toy Story 3 movie.
Classic.
Which is what Pixar does.
I think that because it doesn't delete everything instantaneously. So people were like doing some work, and like the lack of a character would like disappear, and then the other parts of the body would also disappear.
I bet it would be terrifying. Last question. We'll see who's in the leaderboard. Sam's still leading. It's going to take a lot to knock her out. What do we got? True or false? Last question. DigitalOcean only offers Linux-based operating systems. Is this true or is this false? This is kind of nagging at a pet peeve of mine, so we're going to see if people get it. It is in fact false. We offer FreeBSD is not Linux. FreeBSD is a Unix-based operating system, but it is in fact not running the Linux kernel. So many times people get this wrong, and I'm like, no, and I clap them.
You can also do custom images, so you can run whatever you want.
Well, yes, okay. If you're going to, okay, fine, Matt. So, Matt Matt, are you in last place?
No, top 3.
You're on 7 out of top 3. Okay. Samantha with 8 out of 10. Man,
Nice.
50%. That's all right. I'll take that.
Runners up are Bobby and Joaquin. Well, thanks everyone for joining, and I hope that you'll join us next time, as we'll probably end up doing some sort of game from here on out, because this definitely seemed like it was a fun experience, and I had fun. Did you guys have fun?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Good. Now, let me tell you, it's coming up with all these things is like, it took me some time yesterday, but I think it's definitely worth it.
Oh, it was a good set of questions.
Yeah, I loved it. We're going to go ahead and move. We're going to skip the What's on Your Mind section. We don't really have time for it today, which is fine, because I think we had a great time with the chats. So we're going to go ahead and move on to next week's events. Next week, Chris will be doing a webinar or tech talk on getting started with Laravel and Inertia.js. Does anyone here know what Inertia.js is?
I don't. I'm going to Google it.
Yeah, Google it real quick, because I do not know what it is.
I think something to do with Vue.js, but yeah, I haven't really looked at it much.
Quickly build modern single-page React Vue or Svelte applications.
Well, that sounds really interesting. I don't know anything about it.
But it has server-side integration with PHP, I think.
Oh,
hence
well,
the
that sounds
Laravel.
neat.
I think the new Jetstream, it comes with the 2 options, so you can run Jetstream with Livewire, or you can run Jetstream with Inertia.
Okay.
Yeah, and Chris is definitely going to be doing a Jetstream tech talk as well. I think that one got rescheduled because it was supposed to be this morning, but he had something come up. So I think that one will be rescheduled for, I believe, April 7th, if I remember correctly, from the Magic Voice in the Sky. Also, the Python Web Conference is happening next week. I will be speaking there, doing a talk on remote work. Actually, it will be talks on how to be productive in a remote work environment, and how to do, like, basically just tips that I've learned over the years that I've done, like, of being good at remote work. It's also, there's gonna be a lot of really cool, there's like a culture track, which is the track that I'm teaching on, but there's also AI tracks, there's Python web technology tracks, all sorts of things. And it's gonna be a great conference. I highly recommend that you use it. And let me check my email real quick. If you want to go, let me find it. I have a discount code because I'm a speaker and I'm supposed to be giving this out to people. So let me see if I find it. I should have. It's not going to be in this email. It's going to be in the other email. So Joaquin asks in the chat, has anyone used Elixir Lang for programming? Have either of you two used Elixir?
Not really. I went on a small meetup of Elixir, but I haven't used it really.
No, same here. Never touched it. I am very much set in my ways.
So I have not used it, but I have Brian Hogan at DigitalOcean, the head of editorial in the Write for Donations program, is a huge Elixir fan. So
interesting.
Yes, he loves writing it. He thinks he likes it more than Go because he believes that they actually built concurrency right in Elixir.
Okay.
So while I've never used it, I do know he's a big fan of it. So, and then I did find my discount code. So the discount code for Python WebConf, Python WebConf discount code, because I didn't type it right, is speaker 15.
Yeah.
So that will get you a 15% discount code if you would like to join and watch my talk next week.
Sweet.
Yeah, and that's all the events we have coming up. And we have one last thing as always, and it is my joke of the day. So are we ready
I'm ready.
for my joke of the day?
Yep.
Go for it.
Okay. Why did the developer go broke?
He had a break point.
No.
No.
Because he used up all his cash.
Oh. Okay. That's more clever than I was going for. I like that.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining in this time. Next week we'll be doing a lot more. We're probably going to do another game show, another round of true or false, but I know that I'm also working on a couple of other game show ideas, so we'll see what happens. But thank you everyone for attending, and it was great seeing y'all.
Yeah, great.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.